In this video, I'm going to go into a quick overview of the features of the Video Builder portion of this. So when you log in, you can go to New Video by clicking this button, or you can click here and go to New Video here. And then you end up on the New Video screen. It starts with a title. You can click inside here and give it any title you want. And then we have a tabbed interface here. And the way this works is you basically move through the tabs. So we start in the general section, and then we would get all these settings set up, and then go into the slides and create the slides for the video. And then finally we can publish the video. We can go to YouTube or just download it, etc. So let's start with the general tab. Under the general tab, these settings all apply to the entire video. So if we create this watermark, it'll apply to the entire video. Same thing for the background, the audio, and the speech. So very quickly, you'll notice that there's these little icons here for help. You can hover over any of these, and you'll get some help text to kind of point out what these things are for or give you more detail. And we'll start with the, you have an image you can supply as a watermark. So what you do is, as it says in the notes here, it needs to be, or it's best if it's 640 by 360, or at least is in those dimensions, and is set up as a transparent PNG file. So when you do that, it'll be overlaid on top of the video. So this could be logos in the corners or whatever, contact info, etc. And in another video I'll show you some examples. And then you can set the transparency of the watermark. So if maybe you want it to be, maybe you just want it to say demo across the middle. Maybe it's a proof of something you're doing for a client, and you just want it to say something semi-transparent over top. Also, you can add text. So you could use an image, or you could just use text. And then there's settings for the text here that are applied. And you can set the alignment to left, center, or right, and then the vertical alignment to top, middle, or bottom. Now going into the background option here, now this is the only option right now is for a SWF file. What this allows you to do, and that's a flash file, what this allows you to do is put a background behind your video, so that if you just want to show text on the screen and you don't have images for behind the text, you can play an animated background throughout the entire video. Also, you can change the transparency of that as well. This should actually say background and not audio here. But now if we go into the audio tab, we can have multiple audio tracks. There are 2 tracks. This is designed so that you can have, say, a voiceover track and a background music track, and you can set the volumes of those independently. So this allows you to maybe change out the background music easily without having to remix audio and that type of thing. So when you do this, though, you have to supply the full URL to that file, and that's how this system works. Is it pulls images from the internet. Usually this might be something maybe like your Dropbox account. You drop your files into a public folder, and I'll cover that in more detail in another video. But main thing here is you have a couple of audio tracks you can set. Now you don't have to use these. You might a typical setup might be you have an audio track, and you might set the volume down to maybe 3 or 4, but then you use text-to-speech on the individual slides, and I'll show you that as well later. You can also use text-to-speech for the entire video. So if you add text-to-speech here, it'll just play throughout the video, and it won't be dependent upon the slides at all. And then you can pick the voices, male and female, from the United States, the UK, and then Spanish versions of that as well. Okay, so now going into the slides, it starts with one blank slide. There are options to batch create slides, and I'll cover those in additional videos, but you can create a batch of slides by clicking here, and then you can import a tab delimited text to quickly create slides. And then also you can import from images from Facebook, and the captions from those images will be used as both the caption on or the text for the slide as well as the text to speech by default. Of course you can override those things, but okay, so now if we go into the slide, you can click inside here and you can name the slide whatever you want. This is just what you see, so it could be the name, something, a description of the slide so you know what it is. Once you have it set up, you can preview it and see what it looks like before you go to render it. Also, there's a preview button up here where you can preview the entire video. But you will enter, if you want an image in the background, you would enter the URL here. You would enter the duration of the slide here, so 5 seconds might be something for a standard slideshow. You enter the scaling. This is how the image fills the screen. I'll get into more detail in another video on that. And then there's some effects here, being able to add a blur, a background blur, selecting the transparency of the image, and then finally the blur of the image itself. Here's the text tab where you can enter the caption, and then select the color for the background of the slide. So if you don't have a background image here, or if you make the image transparent, the background color of the slide will actually show up. So when you click on this field, you can actually kind of visually select a color, or you can enter it exact key codes into there, hex codes for the slides or for the colors. You can select from a few different fonts here. There'll be more added in the future. We've got just a handful here to pick from. And then you can pick the size of the text and the color. Same thing here, color of the text, color picker. And you can apply a drop shadow to it, and then choose your alignment for the text. Now on the audio and speech tab, this is where you can specify an MP3 file for the audio for this slide. Now whatever you enter here will be attached specifically to this slide. This typically would not be a music, background music. This would typically be voiceover. So if you're describing a house or a product or something, and you want that audio to stick with this slide no matter the order, because when we get into creating slides, we'll be able to change and drag these around and change the order. And when you do that, you can keep the voiceover with that slide if you want. And you would use this field to do that. Then if you would rather use text to speech, you can do that. Now if you enter a URL here, this will override the speech portion. So if you have both of these filled out, the audio file will take precedence. So if you don't want to use the audio file, just keep that the way it is and enter your text to speech here. Again, you can select the voice, the volume, and then you can add silence before and after it, meaning you can kind of pad. So as soon as the slide starts, you might want to wait 2 seconds and then have the speaking begin. You can do stuff like that. The volumes here are mainly for if you're playing a video clip. One thing I forgot to mention is on the image, this actually could be a link to an MP4 file. And so it tells you that here in this little pop-up. But if you use an MP4 video clip, you can put that in here. And then if there's like music and say voiceover that's already in that audio that's in that MP4 file, you might want to set the volume for the background tracks that we set up here in the General tab. The background, we have 2 tracks available. Oops, here we go, audio. We have audio track 1 and track 2. So if we go back into our slides, you can see on this slide we can set the volume. So maybe we want those both to be 0. Or maybe we want the first one to be 0 and the second one to be, leave it the way it is. But the default is to just have no change. But that's how that works. And then once we have all this set up, you can preview each of the slides. I'll create a new slide. I'll just plug another one in here. And you can preview each of these. You can name them differently. You can change the order of them. And then when you want to preview the entire thing, you'll just click this button here. Then one other thing to note is when this is yellow, that means you've made some changes, and you'll want to save your changes. So if I click this, go ahead and click Save. Now also, let's say you have you've made some changes. Maybe you want to save it as a new file. You can give it a new name, leave it the same. It doesn't matter. But if you hit Save As, it'll create a new copy of this that you can work from, and the old one will remain in place. Now, onto the publishing. This is where you would enter. If you want to upload this to YouTube, you can do that. You just fill in your info here. It's set up for, of course, the title, description, the tags, category, latitude and longitude. If you want to give it a location, you can do that. Click this link, and this will take you to a website to be able to easily get a latitude, longitude for any address. And then you can mark it public, unlisted, or private. And then once that's ready, just hit publish to YouTube. And when you do that, it'll be on YouTube, and it will be available as an MP4 download. If you don't want it posted to YouTube, you can just go to the download tab here. All you have to do is hit publish, and it'll get started with the rendering, and you'll see it show up in the queue here. When it's done, you can download it. Okay, so that was kind of long, but it covered a lot of the features. And the next video, I'll go into detail into setting up an entire video.